Watching Congress is painful, and watching C-SPAN should be outlawed under the Geneva Conventions.
My second question is, if I can in your mouth.
Apologize for that, Congressman.
But from time to time, you get something delightful and illuminating. And this week, we got a right-wing Republican trying to pass off a piece of transparent bullshit and getting schooled by Jamie Raskin. He's the kind of guy who
brings a knife to a gunfight.
What you're about to see is a history lesson, a communications masterclass, and a subtle roast all rolled into one. The setup here, or the idiot who's about to set himself up, is Representative Glen Grothman. He's attempting to make a bad faith argument in a debate about whether to add a citizenship question to the U.S. Census. We know that this issue is a bunch of right-wing BS because you might remember a few years ago when the Trump administration was busted by secret documents showing that their proposed move was just a naked power grab to try to take congressional representation and electoral votes away from Democratic-leaning states.
3 federal judges called it a sham justification.
The question would discourage some people from taking the census.
How many congressional seats, how many electoral college votes each state gets is dependent upon these census numbers.
They may lose seats in the House of Representatives.
And we know that this is bad faith because Glen Grothman is this guy.
Glen Grothman said, quote, "You could argue that money is more important for men."
For some reason, Glen Grothman pronounces this word racism. He's also opposed to making Martin Luther King Day a holiday.
He's a shambling, strident conservative with a Trump loyalty index higher than any other member of Congress who lies about the benefits of kindergarten. So that brings us to the exchange with Jamie Raskin. Grothman tries to dress up the whole Republican census plan in some kind of history lesson about the Pledge of Allegiance and the meaning of the word republic.
We pledge allegiance to the republic for which we stand, right? The flag and the republic for which we stand. When Benjamin Franklin, after our Constitution was ratified, he talked about giving us a republic if we can keep it. And I think people should analyze those two little quotes and wonder why there were references to republic in both of them.
So just to be clear, he tried to give a lesson to Jamie Raskin, a constitutional scholar. Do you think that's going to go well?
That would be a no.
I'm inspired by the remarks of the gentleman from Wisconsin, especially about the word republic, which of course comes from res publica, the public thing. He happened upon a subject that's of a lot of interest to me because I wrote a paper about it when I was in 6th grade, the Pledge of Allegiance. It was written by a radical Baptist minister named Francis Bellamy. I'm not sure if the gentleman's aware of that, on the 400th anniversary of Columbus's arrival in the New World. And Reverend Bellamy, who was an abolitionist in Vermont, was concerned about the continuing salute of the Confederate battle flag in the southern states. And so he wanted to write a flag salute that would be unifying for the Union. And he wrote, "I pledge allegiance to my flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, with liberty and justice for all."
I'll just cut in here to note how subtle the twist of the knife is here. He gives the etymology of the word republic, he gives the history of the Pledge of Allegiance, and he mentions that he knows all of this because of the paper he wrote in 6th grade. It's a great way of saying,
I know more than you.
Back to Jamie.
I'm not quite sure what the relevance is of the gentleman's invocation of the Republic or of Ben Franklin and the famous vignette about him saying, "If you can keep it." Ben Franklin was, of course, a big supporter of immigration to the country.
I know more than you.
Look, here our principles and our interests converge very much. The principles are set forth in the Constitution, which is we count everybody, and everybody is part of the census, and everybody is part of the reapportionment process. It's been like that since 1790. We don't need to start finger painting on the Constitution with this silly election year proposal.
So he continues to paint a crystal clear picture that he knows the history way better than this fool Grothman. And he also does something really smart in communications. He could engage with the bad faith argument and expose what we know about what's really behind it.
They may lose seats in the House of Representatives.
But he goes a different way. He uses what in persuasion literature is called valence issues, things that we all feel strongly about. And one of them is the Constitution.
We don't need to start finger painting on the Constitution.
And the other is the very ideal of who we are as a nation.
But it's also in our interests because, as my colleagues have said, this is a land that is built on immigration. Except for the Native Americans who are already here, and the people who were brought over as slaves. All of us are the descendants of immigrants to this country. Tom Paine said when he got to America in 1774, 2 years before the Revolution, he said, "This land, if it lives up to its principles, will become an asylum to humanity." Not an insane asylum, mind you. An asylum to humanity, a place of refuge for people seeking freedom from religious, political, and economic oppression. That's who we are.
And that's it, all rolled into one. A history lesson, a communications masterclass, and a subtle, high-road dismissal of a stupid, bad-faith right-wing argument by one of the Democratic Party's best communicators.